I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book Lost Seeds. The beginning, no other than Miss Teresa Mosley Sebastian. Welcome to Book 101, Ms. Teresa, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, thank you, Daniel, and thank you for letting me talk to your listeners. Yes, the author of the book Lost Seeds, The Beginning. And also, there's a book too, Daniel, called Lost Seeds, The Legacy. This is a trilogy.
Wow.
So there are two books of the trilogy. The third one is to come next year, later next year. But it's a book that chronicles the lives of two brothers that were born in the early 1900s and how their lives diverge and the conflicts between the two brothers and how those conflicts and differences affect their future generations as well. So that will play itself out right now in three books, but something tells me I might stretch it to four. But let's start off with three. And the first two books have already been released. The first
Yes.
book takes you in the early 1900s, and then the second book fast forwards you to the 1960s.
Miss Teresa Motley Sebastian, thank you so much for sharing your talent to the world. What does the phrase lost seed symbolize to you?
What that symbolizes, is every life establishes a seed. It establishes a spiritual seed. It establishes just, the seed of someone's beginning. And over time, you have these seeds that somehow deviate. They're, critical things that happen. They're sad things that happen. And within that, there are things, especially that happen during our formative years, during our early years of life, whether they are as infants or children, that tend to impact us and follow us as we grow. So that's kind of the analogy of lost seeds. They're these souls that just get lost in their circumstances. And all these unfortunate things affect them as they grow and as they have children, as the generations go on. So that's what that means, Daniel.
So, Miss Teresa, how can something lost serve as the beginning of a new journey?
How can someone get lost at the beginning of a new journey? Is that what you're?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for example, depending upon the nature of your parents, what your parents are going through, if your parents are experiencing trauma in their lives at the time they are raising you, then that is definitely going to affect you. I mean, some of us have seen families or have lived in families where the parents had, whether are addictions, whether the parents have emotional problems, or whether there are problems within the parents' relationships, those establish the environment in which we grow up. And again, it can't help but affect you as you develop and grow, and even after you leave the home. So, and it forms a basis of the type of individual and adult that we become unless we have very strong awareness of how our parents' lives impacted us. And we really work hard to overcome the remnants of that environment. within which we grew up. And it has, I'm not a psychologist, but have read quite a bit. And if we aren't careful, we tend to pass down that legacy again through our future generations. So that's what that means to me, Daniel.
So, Mr. Teresa, what might losses represent in terms of personal growth or potential?
Yes. So we can all use these disadvantages, these negative things in our environment as learnings, as the core of our strength and ability to overcome. And that is the essence of the two brothers. One brother caves to all of the adversities and that environment within which he grew up. And the other brother uses it as a source of strength. Although along the way, that other brother that uses it as a source of strength has moments where he struggles with it, and some of the anger that that anger from the experiences he had years ago growing up does still tend to come up in uncontrolled ways and causes him to act out, but he quickly regroups himself. So it just shows, the lost seed shows how those adversities affect two individuals in different ways. But again, you will see how one brother uses it as a source of strength, and he keeps moving up and achieves his goals, to achieve some resemblance of success, at least success as he designs it or defines it to be. Because we don't all have to you know fall down, or cave to the adversities that happen in our lives.
So, how can loss be a catalyst for transformation of self discovery?
How can loss be a catalyst for self-discovery? Is that the question?
Transformation of self discovery, yes.
Yes. So, listen, we're all human and we all have weaknesses, and it's very hard, especially when we've suffered from extreme trauma. And it's easy to cave to it. But I think there are several ways that we can overcome those tragedies in our life and use it as a catalyst. So, you know, one way is I'm a believer in, tapping into your spiritual being, regardless of how you want to define spiritual being. Some define it in a religious sense, some define it in self strength and that inner peace that they find. So, yeah, if you tap into that and and just breathe and move forward and make sure you understand the difference between right and wrong, and find those things and those environments to build your self-esteem and support your efforts to overcome. Placing yourself in a better environment is a great start, whether it's a group of people, whether it's in a geography. Finding that place of peace, finding that place to support the atmosphere that you want around you, helps you tap into that inner strength. That's one way. The other way is finding external help. I do believe in, therapy. Therapists, for some, serves a very strong purpose. So whether it's therapy, whether it's counseling, whatever you want to call it, having someone external to you that helps you process the trauma, rationalize the trauma, or just try to understand how to utilize it to move forward. So again, having a source, a third party source. And then the other way is what I call, self-help and self-education. Recognizing, look, I had this bad event happen, and it's really affecting my life and my ability to move forward, but I don't want to cave to it. So there are many sources of self-help, whether it's books, whether it's, going to an educational institution to empower and help you process academically what happened, and then that affords you to make very educated decisions for change and understanding that there's a better life for you out there. So you will see in Lost Seeds, the beginning, and in the second book, Lost Seeds, the Legacy, you will see the characters and their future generations processing trauma in different ways. For example, in the second book, you will see a character that is processing trauma by going to a therapist, starting at a very early age. You will see characters using spirituality. Excuse me, you will see characters using their educational, um, um, their, going through their, using their own education to figure out how to deal with trauma. So I hope that answered your question, Daniel. It was a little long-winded, but I hope I answered it.
Very well said, Mr. Razak. Very well said. So, what lessons can be learned from seeds that fail to grow?
Ah, seeds that fail to grow, Daniel, that is a very good question. Um, I don't like to think in those terms, but yes, that happens. Some people just cannot overcome, and you will see that. That's a very, to me, a very unfortunate part of my book, because it really demonstrates that there are circumstances where some people have very deep emotional issues and just cannot raise themselves out of that downward spiral. If you can imagine a funnel and, a marble going through the funnel, and it spins faster and faster the further down it gets in that funnel, and just the sheer momentum puts them out of control and out of reach of help, and sometimes they can't find their way out, and so they are a seed that fails to grow, and sometimes ends up, whether it's self-destruction or putting themselves in harm's way, where they are exposed to being destroyed. Their life becomes destroyed. You want to think that family members or other loved ones can help that person, but sometimes that person feels so defeated, or it could be the product of mental illness that puts that person beyond reach and makes them a seed that fails to grow. Um, Again, you will see both of those examples within the book as well. And if a person feels hopeless, sometimes they cannot be reached. If a person feels that they are not worthy of being loved, or again they have a mental illness, it's just difficult and it's sad, but that's real life. And people end up sometimes with tragic endings. Even in the best of families, you can find individuals who have all the resources available to them, but just cannot be reached. In Lost Seeds, you will kind of see where, even though the brothers came from a very, very meager beginning, with many disadvantages, even though one succeeds, the one that does not still had very smart person, had resources available to him, but just could not muster the inner strength. And some of it, may have been the result of a mental illness, because he did have some tragedies happen to him, some physical tragedies. So, uh, that's really when you see a lost seed that fails to grow. But you have to really ask, why is it? Why is that person not learning and growing? And why can't they acquire the inner strength to overcome? Um, a- and so, the one thing that I really like about these books, as they came to me, is that I didn't try to sugarcoat the results of life. It shows the positive, and it shows the downside. It shows seeds that grow and flourish and become successful, and it shows seeds that fail to grow and just are not fertilized in a way that allows them to become productive.
So, Mr. Rasa, what would be your advice for those people out there lost the seeds or seed and failed to grow?
Find help. Find someone who will allow you to hold their hand. There is no shame in asking for help. We all need help from time to time where we can't see our way. It's just like being in a building that's on fire and the smoke is all around us and we can't find the door. We can't find the exit and we feel like we're just going to perish. And through that smoke, you see the hand of a fireman coming in to rescue you. Then what do we do as humans? We take that hand. We grab that hand and let that rescuer pull us out. And that's what those individuals who are in that situation you described, Daniel, um, should do is find that first responder, that rescuer, and take their hand and let them lead you to safety. And that may be therapy, counseling, that may be just a simple hug. Sometimes we only need a hug and allow people to love you, allow people to express that you're worthy. Um, and again, don't be afraid to ask for that help, because there are times, and if you haven't experienced it, you may experience it one day, where you really feel hopeless and you feel like, oh gosh, this is not going to change. The one thing that we always have to remember is that um, tomorrow will come, and tomorrow may be the day that things get better. So, try to find a source of hope, whether it's someone that can speak positively to you, or whether it's just you telling yourself, gosh, I can go another day. I'm just going to, hope that tomorrow will be different and better. But again, be sure that you always ask for help.
Yes, ask for help if you need help, people. So, Mr. Rasa, what is your short term and long term goals in writing?
My short-term goal is to get the third book out, Daniel. The outline is already there, and I'm going to tell you what's happening to me is, as I am putting the third book together, a fourth book is starting to talk to me. The characters are starting to talk to me about this scenario, this story, that really can be a book in it of itself. So, as I said earlier, it may not be a trilogy. It may be something a little bit more. I think these characters have more to say. So that's the short term. The long term goal is to continue where these characters want to take me. And maybe it's a matter of putting visuals, putting a film around this. That's certainly a possibility because this is a family that has a lot to say. The Brisco family, who is the family that's chronicled in these books, they have a lot to say. They have a lot going on in their lives. So I think they plan on being around for a long time, as long as my fingers can tap on some keys, or as long as my voice can dictate, Daniel. That's the long term. My writing will be around. I've written a couple of short stories, so if people want to go on my website, teresamoselysebastian.com, you will see um, uh, a short story and a blog about some of the characters. And so from time to time, I'll keep putting short stories out there for people to read. But my fingers are going to keep writing as long as I can and as long as I can be healthy, Daniel.
Yes, good luck for that goal, Miss Teresa, and looking forward for more series of Lost the Seeds. So, to sum up our discussion, what could Lost Seeds, the beginning, teach us about resilience, community, or hope on a global scale?
It can teach us a lot about resilience and hope. The resilience in terms of what I just said, sometimes there are adversities and good things can come out of that if we really search for it. Um, you will see how the resilience of the successful brother passes that along to the later generations who you will see will continue growing, and hope in that the basic premise of every human being is love and caring, and just the family, the strength of family and the strength of friends creates that resilience and hope. So you have to read the story. And Daniel, I do want to take a moment to say that these both books are award winners. If you go on the website, you will see that Lost Seeds is the winner of the IPPY Award, a bronze award. It's a finalist in the Best Books Award by the American Book Fest and Foreword Indies Books and so on. And the second book has won its first Best Book Award. It's a finalist in the American Book Fest. So both books are award-winning books, and you will see a lot about resilience and hope. And what really that means too on a global scale is that we as just a human race, look, for all of our faults and all of the tragedies that have happened over the years, no matter where you live, there is always a chance that things can improve. Because if we look just back over the several decades or the past century, we as a world, we're in a much better place. It's sad though that we still have the vestiges of war, discrimination, and poverty and hunger. We are still better than we were years before. So it may not seem like things are changing, but relatively speaking, they are. And there is hope.
Miss Teresa Mosley Sebastian, thank you so much for giving us award-winning piece, and we are looking forward for more award-winning piece like this. So, Miss Teresa, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Yes. So the books are available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and bookshop.org. Please go on the website, Teresa Mosley Sebastian. foreword.com, and you can pick up the books through there. I welcome everyone to pick up both books, Lost Sees the Beginning and Lost Sees the Legacy. And Daniel, I appreciate your audience and the readers of novels.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Teresa because if you support her, more award-winning piece to come. So, Miss Teresa, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel, and have a good evening.
More to come, people. See you soon.